Some aggressive tactics from Jaco Alula on our first hilltop or mountaintop finish, depends how you look at it, in Arctic Race of Norway. Christoph on UnoX is leading GC after winning both of the first two sprint stages, but today we have our first. I don't know whether this is a hilltop, a mountaintop, or a medium mountain finish. It's 6Ks, 6%, but the first 2Ks are actually at 9%. It's an irregular climb, and so the hardest part's at the beginning, and then it actually levels off. So if someone like Magnus Cort can survive the early or the first 6 minutes, then he's looking pretty good for the final, which is only like 4% and even has some downhill parts. Breakaway went up the road with a lot of the Pro Conti teams in it, and of course Coop Repsol and Hulgaard and Rasmus Tiller were controlling that like they have been the last few days. Christoph, he knew he wouldn't survive this finish, so they're probably going to go for a combination UnoX of Leknesund, Abrahamsen, and Magnus Cort, who could win the sprint. And like Leknesund, he won this race at GC overall a couple of years ago when he was on DSM. So the breakaway did make it to the base of the climb, but they were inevitably reeled in just afterwards, with attacks already coming from Bardiani. Total Energy were pacing. I don't know who for exactly. DSM here have the American Kevin Vermarker, who's also been good in this race before and on hilly circuits. Christoph on that 9% section I mentioned was dropped, so he'd be losing the leader's jersey, so it was up for grabs immediately. Israel have Mads Schmidt. They have Joseph Blackmore, who was one of the strongest riders in Brabantse Pijl, a hilly race, and has been good in Rwanda, races like that. And Jaco Alula have Mauro Schmidt as well as Davide De Preto, who is the man who steps off everybody here. Schmidt goes and then lets his wheel go. And it's really, really good tactics from Jaco, because you have maybe some other teams with similar numbers. It's the first stage where if you combine Pena, De Preto, and Schmidt, it's about equal between them, Israel and UnoX. And you can play with that. Instead of just pacing on the front, if you just pace on the front, then maybe Cort just wins the sprint anyway. Camiel Boneu on Flanders Baloise bridges across to De Preto, and it's perfect. Look at Schmidt. He's with a teammate, he's fifth wheel, he's their main man for GC. Jaco Alula, he's been going for the intermediate sprint bonus seconds in the last two stages. And who's going to chase? And it's always these undulating, irregular finishes where these sort of attacks seem to stick. We saw a very similar one succeed last week in Czech Tour with Thomas Gloag. So similar in terms of the placement of the attack, irregular finish, leveling off. And look, when it levels off a bit, when it's faster, you see the peloton get fatter. It's not in a line. UnoX have moved back up. And so who is going to take responsibility to pace? And that's why I think you can visibly see how irregular this climb is. Why I think these sort of attacks stick compared to like a consistent 7%, or maybe they don't. The UnoX, I think, make a mistake here. Maybe in hindsight it is a mistake. They're pacing and then they motion to Lotto Destiny, why don't you take over and share the work? And then one of their riders, I don't know if it's Leknesund, I would guess it's him, and it's Cort who's sitting behind him, and it was Abrahamsen pacing. My guess is it's Leknesund who attacks. But this would be a good move if there was no one up the road. But in this phase of the race, it's marked by Israel, and it just means that the pace comes back out of the race. People are going to be less likely to want to work with UnoX because they just attacked you after they pulled for a little bit. And so De Preto and Boneu get a 23-second gap. Schmidt is looking pretty in the white and red jersey third wheel behind, I think, Joseph Blackmore. Israel have also got Schultz, so they do have options, but they don't pace with Mads Schmidt either. They're going to try something different a little bit later, and so UnoX come back to the front with Abrahamsen, and the gap's still 20 seconds after that attack, after the slowing, and Boneu starts to put it in to De Preto. You see De Preto's head rocking and rolling, he's labouring, it's on these faster sections, and then it kicks back up again, and Abrahamsen actually calls through, I think, Leknesund, but Mads Schmidt's attacks, so the pace came out of the race once again, and we don't really see the peloton ever again, so I don't really know who paced. My guess is that UnoX ran out of numbers because Mads Schmidt survives in that middle Chasse Patate for a good while, but Boneu eventually drops Davide De Preto off the wheel with just under 1 kilometres to go. He's won, Boneu, the 25-year-old Belgian, a Saskatoon stage in 2022, a Tour of Britain stage. I think the Saskatoon stage was pretty similar. These are sort of .pro, .1 races. It was absolutely perfect timing from him, going at the right moment at the end of the steep section of the climb, working with the Preto, and also being incredibly strong, holding off a chasing peloton on 4 to 5% for over 5 minutes. Huge win for him and Flanders Baloise in a .pro race. We'll see what he can do on GC, because he's got a nice time gap now, so that's looking pretty good for him. It's going to come down, I think, to bonus seconds. He wins the stage 2 seconds ahead of Court, Vermarker, Blackmore, Champoussin, Schultz, Kraps, Schmid, Iribar, and Kristen. Here's what Bonnet had to say after the stage.
Yesterday I got the bad news that my grandfather died, and he was kind of the reason that I started cycling at the first place. And well, it was no possibility to go home, so I wanted to give my everything today, and I knew I was in a good shape, and I knew I had a small chance of winning, but everything had to be in the right place, and I was not riding alone today, and everything fell in the right place, so I'm very happy I can make him proud. I lost both my grandfathers in 3 months, so I hope they watch together to the race today. Watching the parkour, I knew that the first 2 kilometers of the climb were the hardest. So for me, it was also better to attack already there, or to go full gas already there, because I don't think I could have managed it in a sprint. So I saw nobody was reacting on him, and then I had some left, so I thought I tried to make the jump to make the race hard, but then I said nobody is reacting to me, so then it was full gas until the finish line. And when I accelerated a bit with a kilometer to go, I saw he was on the limit, and then I just went full gas until the finish.
You are now just 1 second shy of taking the leader jersey of the GC. How are you going to play your cards tomorrow?
Give my everything again, and hope it will be enough. Well, I'm gonna try to get it, because I don't know who's in the leader jersey.
Magnus Kort.
Yeah, well, I will definitely not beat him in a bony sprint, so I will have to do it on the finish. Maybe I have a small chance, but a climb like that suits him better. But I'm going to give everything again tomorrow, and we will see where we get. But I'm already very, very happy that I got this win here.
But as I said, GC is tight. Court is in the lead despite coming second because of the bonus seconds he's picked up in the first 2 stages, just by a solitary second ahead of Bonnet, who's 7 ahead of Vermarker. This is going to be a good race tomorrow, and the later stages that are GC stages, it's going to all come down to bonies. It's usually good on the later circuit stages. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you with the recap tomorrow. Ciao.